80-year-old Jack was forced to marry 4 destitute heiresses. Unexpectedly, overnight, he regained the appearance of his youth. This left the 4 wives utterly perplexed, but seeing their husband's youthful handsomeness, they all felt yesterday's hardships were worth it. It turned out that just yesterday, Jack, starved for 3 days and feeling hopeless about life, was about to end his own life when unexpectedly saved by his son John, who shouted, "Jack can't die. What about the government-issued wife? Tell Dad he has a wife now." Jack struggled, and upon hearing government-issued wife, immediately released his grip on the noose. His son explained that enlisting would grant him a wife. Just then, the system's voice suddenly activated. "Marriage system at your service. 1 marriage opportunity available. Reward, 1 longevity pill. 1 martial skill of choice." Jack was so moved he nearly wept. It turned out a young soul resided within his aged body. A year prior, a 30-year-old modern man had possessed this withered frame. His unfilial son deliberately starved him to death. He instantly realized conscription must have targeted his son, prompting him to substitute himself for military service. But with the system, his mindset shifted completely. Facing his son's scheme, he turned the tables. Arriving at the conscription site, he indeed saw countless daughters of disgraced officials sent by the government to be brides. Yet the conscription officer informed him all strong, capable women had already been chosen, leaving only 4 frail, emaciated girls no one wanted. He was told to pick anyone. Villagers mocked him at the sight. Jack's got some real bad luck. They said, "All the decent brides are gone. These 4 are just daughters from ruined families. Marry them and you'll just be supporting them." The 4 girls knew too well that if no one chose them, they'd face an even more tragic fate as military prostitutes. So they pushed each other, urging him to pick their sisters instead. But only a child would make a choice. Jack declared he would take them all. Hearing this, the villagers erupted in even louder derision, muttering that in these chaotic times, he couldn't even support 1 wife, yet he wanted 4. The old man insisted he had his own plans, and needed no one's concern. The conscription officer, finding these 4 unwanted, handed them all over to the old man. The officer announced Jack would be mustered at the threshing floor in 10 days, and anyone missing would face execution for their entire family. Thus Jack brought the 4 brides home. It turned out the sisters were originally the 4 daughters of the crown prince's tutor, cast into poverty after being implicated in the crown prince's rebellion plot. All 4 were deeply grateful to the old man for saving them, and he promised to treat them with mutual respect. But unexpectedly, the sensible eldest sister objected. "That won't do," she declared. "Our husband is advanced in years. If we don't act swiftly, how will we bear his heir? We must proceed without delay." He hadn't expected the sisters to be so sensible. He immediately offered to treat them to a feast of 21st century cuisine. Before his journey through time, Jack had been a master chef, yet in his past life, he'd never experienced the pleasure of cooking while surrounded by beauties. Only now did he realize that even household chores could be so delightful. Soon, several dishes were stir-fried. The 4 sisters, unfamiliar with modern cooking, exclaimed excitedly, "This is even better than the imperial chefs in the palace." They instantly began to see him in a new light. After they had eaten their fill, Jack was lying on the bed. Unexpectedly, the second sister slipped in while the others were bathing, claiming she would test him first on behalf of her sisters. Meanwhile, the other 3 sisters, wanting to see what was happening, all crept to the window. They resented their sister for beating them to it. Just then, a crowd of villagers gathered to watch the spectacle. Everyone assumed Jack, being so old, would surely fail. But unexpectedly, Jack invited them all into the room, declaring he would show them his true strength. Just as the villagers prepared to continue their gawking, the northern barbarian army suddenly stormed into the village. Everyone panicked and fled the village overnight. By dawn, Jack stepped outside as a 30-year-old man. It turned out that last night, he had not only obtained 4 longevity pills in one go, but also mastered 4 supreme abilities, including swordsmanship. Not only did Swordmaster become youthful and handsome overnight, but he could even draw 2 300-gene bows with ease. The 4 sisters instantly grew even more admiring of Jack. Unexpectedly, just as Jack planned to take his wives hunting in the mountains, a wounded female general named Mia suddenly galloped over on horseback. General Mia declared the barbarian army had searched the entire village and was now heading this way. She urged him to flee immediately with his wives, but Jack insisted that if he fled, Mia would surely die. He ordered the sisters to bring him inside, while he resolved to confront the barbarians himself. Unbeknownst to him, the savages had already infiltrated his home. The moment the sisters entered the house, they all fell into enemy hands. The barbarian chieftain then arrogantly commanded that all the men in the village be slaughtered, and all the women be taken captive to their camp. The sisters urgently urged Jack to flee, but he charged back instead. "Let go of my women," he roared at the barbarian brats. The savages scoffed at Jack, mocking him for daring to defy them alone after slaughtering his entire village. They burst into loud laughter. Enraged, Jack swiftly drew his bow and arrow, shooting it straight into the barbarian chieftain's head. His wives stared in horror, eyes wide.